Welcome back. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and what better way to spend it than to work on this old Plymouth. You may have noticed it looks a little bit different, and that's because just recently I got myself some new tires. This car looks amazing with these new tires out in the sunlight. Really classes it up with the white walls. I got all 4 tires plus the spare. I replaced the tubes and the bands, and this car drives phenomenally. It feels a lot more safe and sturdy going down the roads. Those old tires were hard and dry rotted. These things are really great. I got them at Coker Tire. Could not be happier with them. Today, what I plan on doing is 2 things. One, now that I've been driving it a little bit, I've noticed that a couple seals haven't been sealing as well as they should be. So we're going to take a look at the rear axle. The pinion seal on it leaks fluid pretty heavily. So we're going to see if we can replace that. The other thing that I want to do is, with this being a single circuit brake system, I really need to get the parking / emergency brake fixed, because if the brake should fail, I really want a second way of stopping this. So let's get this up into the air and underneath it. Alright, with the car up in the air and us underneath it, let's do the transmission parking brake first. So this is simple. It's kind of like a go-kart brake. You got this drum on the back of the transmission. When you pull the lever, it pulls this rod, pinches this, and this pad clamps down onto it. There's one bolt here, and then your adjustment bolt here. This comes apart, and you should be able to slide this out and off the drive shaft. One thing that the note that's kind of cool is stamped right here into the universal joint is May 10th, 1916. That is an old, we'll say, universal joint. I don't know, but let's get some wrenches and take that off. Alright, now that I think I've collected all of the tools needed, let's pull this little wire thing out. This is to stop this bolt from backing out. This bolt goes into a bar and acts as a reaction feature for this brake. So basically, when this clamps, this is spinning, and when this clamps down, it's going to want to spin with it, and that's what this bar is for. This little wire stops the nut that keeps this all together from backing out. Alright, with that gone, we loosen this all up. This should come apart. May have to pull this cotter pin, and then this should just slide on back. Barely a spring. All right, that should slide off and I should be able to open this, and there we go. Oh yeah, we are down to the rivets on the bottom and close to it on the top. This was not doing much and most likely made out of asbestos. This drum doesn't feel too bad. All right, let's go take a look at the new part. Here we are at the parts table. Not a whole lot of parts that go around, but they are important parts. This is the brake that we just took off the car. This is one for a 34. Could not find one for a 31. Not too much changed in the car from what I can understand, but they are both 2 inches wide. They're the same style. This bracket is a little bit different, but in the same location. If it doesn't fit, we'll figure out a way of engineering it. Maybe cut this bracket off, and weld it on there so that we got it in the correct spot. But everything seems to line up. Let's see how well it fits underneath the car. Okay, so underneath the car, let's see how well this fits. And okay, good. It does fit over this. The bracket fits a lot tighter under the reaction bar, so we will most likely not use this spring. But we will need this bolt. Let's see if this bolt will fit in this hole. It won't. All right, so our first modification is make this hole big enough for this bolt that bolts into this reaction bar. All right. Yep, 5/16. We might have to work it around a little bit, but this should work. And here's a drill that may not have a battery. Let's go take this to the vise. Okay, we are back underneath the car with the oversized hole. I also, because this bracket is not as long, I shortened up the bolt so that it doesn't collide to the backing. Let's put it on, see what else needs to be modified. Come on. Why aren't you threading in? Come on. There you go. Okay. Just not at the right angle. Okay. Oh, I think I finally got it. All right, let's try to get this as square as possible. You don't want it dragging. All right. Now there are 2 springs, and I believe, well, they look almost identical. So we'll put this one on the top. Hopefully I can get all of this to line up. That would be very, very convenient. But I don't know if I'm going to be that lucky. I wonder if I'm going to have to find a way of clamping this. Can't forget to have this go into there. But I'm going to need... Ooh. Alright, we'll leave that go for just a second. Aha! Alright. Let's just put this nut on there so this doesn't come apart, and then we'll have to wrestle this into place. Alright. Oh. Alright. So... Oh yeah, this is gonna be the fun part. Be nice to have a giant C clamp or something. Okay, that wasn't too terrible. Let's tighten this up a little bit, and then we'll see how this. Oh yeah, let's all right, now that's tight. So I'm going to loosen this up and see how we can do for adjustment. All right. Okay. So let's go put this in a position and we'll tighten it down, and then that position should be where the braking gauge is, but this is moving fairly freely. Sweet. Okay. So, transmission's in neutral. I put this about 4 or 5 clicks in, and it is tight. I'm gonna loosen it up. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna tighten it a little bit more. tighten would be this way. And then I'll take the brake off. And we'll see if in the off position I'm able to spin this, because right now I am not able to. So let's take the brake off and see if the brake actually turns off. These are the original boot clamps. Wow. So brake is now off, transmission's in neutral. This should spin, and it does. Now I wonder how safe it would be to start the car, spin this up, and then see if I can stop it with the brake. Yeah, let's go break something. Well, nothing's quite like putting a new brake on and immediately abusing it. But it doesn't seem to drag, and it will stall the engine by braking. So I'm gonna say this is good. Tighten this up a little bit, put our wire back in so it doesn't back itself out, because if that lets go, all kinds of bad stuff could happen. So let's do that. Let's make this hook a little bit more. And I do believe that this wire is just that. I believe it is just copper or aluminum wire. I approve. All right. Now, if you saw anything bad happening here, you would have told me, right? All right, let's take a look at the back of the vehicle to the seal. Okay, so we are at the back of the car. This is the seal that you can see is actively wet. Whether it's this seal that is leaking down and dripping, or if it's the seal between these two pieces, not sure. This to the housing is probably the same as the cover. I only have one of those seals, so we will attempt to take the rear cover off and check this. But we need to figure out how to get this seal off. And I have a feeling that's going to start with taking this apart. I'm afraid there may be a giant nut in there to get this backing off. I'm really hoping this is like a yoke, and once I get this out of the way, this will just slide back. But we're all going to be figuring this one out. Hopefully I don't break anything too important. Well, the nice thing is, this is covered in so much grease and oil that just fell apart. I'm also hoping that there isn't a seal or a gasket there, because I don't have one, and I'm not even sure where to get one. I would probably have to take the gasket apart and get like a sheet and draw it out, cut it out, and make my own gasket, which I think I got a box of Cheerios that is almost done. Oh. Ooh. All right, I'm going to keep these together because I don't want a different nut causing a different seal somewhere. I always try to put fasteners back together so then you don't lose them, but also, you know, they wear together, so they will continue to wear as a set. Alright, that is 2. Now, are we going to be lucky enough to get this to spin around so we can get the other ones? Huh. I think I left it in gear. Let me remedy that. Wow, this is very gummed up. Alright. Now, that's convenient. I am also making a very conscious effort not to touch the tires, because that would be very disappointing with these white walls. Oh. Alright, let me re-engage the transmission. Okay, there we go. With the assistance of the engine being a don't spin me. Now I am hearing, I don't know if you can, I am definitely hearing grease crackling. So the grease fitting probably just packs this cavity full of grease, and whether that means that there is a seal that I am very much angering right now, we'll find out momentarily. But it will be very, very nice if if there isn't spring-loaded parts, but if I take this off and this piece just slides out, because then it's just a matter of these bolts on and off, and we are good to take the cover off, inspect stuff, put the cover back on, and fill it up with some grease. Now the owner's manual says use 160 weight. I don't know if I have that, but I believe I have something close. Oh yeah, there's live grease in here. Great. Great. All right. Don't eat the drive shaft. Come on. With these being 1916 universal joints, I make them, what, 109 years old? And quite possibly this is the first time they've been taken apart. So, that's actually kind of cool. I'm really hoping there's not like spring-loaded ball bearings, because I have no idea how these go together and I will never figure it out. All right. All right, so there is a gasket. So I need to be very careful. And there is a spring. Great. Let's be very careful with the gasket. Oh, great. Just what I wanted. Stuff split in my eye. All right. Come on. Okay. Now, before we get too far, now that I pulled that apart, before I disassemble this completely, I'm going to put a mark on both halves, just on the off chance that they're not symmetrical. Okay, let's see how this is gonna spring apart and cause all kind of mayhem. So what side are you on? Okay, you're on that side. Okay. And all right. I have a drive shaft in my teeth. Let's put that somewhere where it's going to get dirty and quite potentially ruined, and there is. Oh, there is. Of course there is. There's a nut here. So we're going to have to take this pinion nut off to get this yoke off, to get the seal off. But first, let's get this drive shaft out of my mouth. Okay, now that you're out of the way, no idea what it means, but there's a 3. So there's that. All right. Needle nose, there's a cotter pin. Okay, after 10 years in destroying the cotter pin, that is out. Now, I just need to figure out what size socket this is. Probably have to get the impact out because, well, this one's the spin. So, Let's figure that out. It's a big socket. Okay. All right. Well, there's definitely there's definitely a groove inside this collar. Not a fan of that. And there's a lot of play. Hey, there's a drive shaft there. There's a lot of play in this. All right, let's pull this seal off. We may be taking a slight pause as I may need to get new bearings. That's a lot of run out, and that run out will definitely kill a seal. Are these the same bolts? Quite potentially, they are. All right, I'm gonna take this off. I'll catch back with you once they are all out. Okay, now that this is all taken off, let's see what it's gonna take to crack this apart. Looks like there might be a seal here. We're gonna have to be careful about. So. $100 years worth of grime. Yeah, there we go. Ooh. Yeah, that seal looks, definitely looks worn. All right. Okay, good. That makes me feel a lot better. That when you put the bearing into the race, all that slop is taken up. So it must have been us taking this nut off that loosened that. But I am going to take this pinion bearing out and check it, make sure there isn't any scoring in it. And then we should be able to just put her back together. But I'm going to clean my hands first. Okay, so with now relatively clean hands, let's see if we can get this bearing to come out nicely. The race looks really, really good. Feels really, really smooth. I don't feel any ridges or pitting. Let's go take this, give it a good look, clean it up, and we should be able to start putting it back together. Okay, got some paper towels, some WD-40. Now, something that's important to keep in mind is there are a couple shims. This is important for preload. So let's make sure that those find their way back onto it. But let's clean up this bearing, get all the grime, gunk off of it. It smells like gear oil, and I hate the smell of gear oil. All right. Well, that is promising and could explain why this bearing has lasted as long as it is. It is a Timken bearing. I always prefer Timken bearings. They just seem to be a really well made and manufactured bearing. Now, according to the owner's manual, should use 160 weight oil. I'm not sure what I have. I believe it's 140. It was the thickest oil I could find. So take a little bit more look at it. Bearing looks like it's in really good shape. Not a whole lot of play, if any. All the rollers look really good. I don't see any pitting or scratches or gouges. Now, viewers of the channel will remember that this rear end did drive a little bit before I realized that the rear end was empty. So it's one of the reasons why I'm checking this bearing, make sure that it didn't get scored or damaged any. I'm using WD-40 because it is a lubricant. It's a thin oil. I don't want to use a cleaner that's going to clean anything or destroy anything, so I figured a thin oil will wash away the grime and not damage the not damage anything too much. All right. This looks pretty good, which is good because I don't have a replacement. So I say let's open up that new seal, take a look at what it looks like. It's been 100 years. Let's see if anything has changed. Let's go grab the mating parts, kind of dry fit it, see what it looks like. So what I have here is the old seal, which had a rubber seal and a spring, and it is very much wore out. What we have here, and we'll clean this up pretty good, is the back half of the universal joint, which I find interesting. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 splines on this. But if you remember when we did the brakes, there was only one key that went to the drive wheels. But there's 10 splines here. So there is a little bit of a run out here. And boy, this seal seems like it is a bit large. That's going to be problematic. I may have gotten the wrong part. Great. Let's go put this on and let's see what how well it lines up. It doesn't look like it's going to line up very well, and the inner diameter of this seal is small. Let's go see. All right, I took apart the seal, and let's review the parts. So there's an exterior shell, needs to be cleaned, but otherwise it's unharmed. So here's the seal. It came out in pieces, forcefully I might add. There was this fibrous part that had a chunk taken out of it. Then there was a seal that was inside this spring. So it went around there, spring constricting on it. It is completely wore out. Then this was sitting inside this housing, which had this backing plate locking it into this shell. So I need to find this seal that will go around that shaft and fit inside that housing. This is either the wrong part, a wrong interchanged part, or quite possibly in the 100 and something years that this car has existed, somebody has replaced the rear end with the rear end of a different year, make, or even model. But I will need to figure that part out. This is part of the fun of having an old vehicle, is learning the history and the years of, I don't have this part anymore, what can I use? All right, that will probably be it for today. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that.